What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Noob. So you know how I love isekais. I read them all the time. I watch all the animes I can. I enjoy them. But with all my knowledge of the isekai world and what comes of it, I've come to realize there is more than one type of isekai out there. You have your average isekai where your person is reincarnated and becomes a hero or a demon lord. You have the type where they wind up having a good life, a harem and all that. And 9 times out of 10, most of the isekais that you read about always has with the person's life improving. You know, they get magic, they get knowledge, they get, you know, God's powers and stuff like that. But it's that 1% though, 1 out of 10, that I find the most unique stories because they're a little different. In today's manga that I'm going to tell you about, it is an isekai where even though our main protagonist's life sucked and she was killed, the life that she was reincarnated to really didn't turn out to be much better than what she had already experienced. The title of this manga is called I'm Not a Villainess. Just because I can control darkness doesn't make me a bad person. Before she got isekai'd, this character was in one of those shitty households. Basically, her parents really didn't love each other. They thought that having a kid would make the relationship work better, and of course it didn't, and they would constantly argue and constantly blame the child. Which, by the way, fuck those kind of families. I've known some of those, and fuck them completely. Lo and behold, one day while she's reading her favorite light novel, her parents are fighting downstairs. Yell, 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 back, 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 blah, blah, blah. So she goes downstairs to kind of try to break it up because she just gets tired of hearing it. When she walks downstairs, she notices something. Her father is standing over her mom's body while he's holding a knife. And before she has a chance to think about what happens, he basically blames her and then stabs her, which of course kills her. Now this is the point where the isekai part kicks in. When she's dying, she, of course, she's getting transferred over to the other world. She hears a voice talking to her, and it's asking her, it's basically talking to her, I have found you. You're my chosen one. I will help protect you, but I need you to give me a name. Now, she sees this very, very handsome gentleman. Without thinking about it, she basically decides, I'm going to name you Gerald. Is that at that point, when he accepts the name, that she is reincarnated into this baby child. You know, the whole mom gives birth, the spirit goes into there, you're now a baby. Now, she didn't meet God, she didn't meet some overlord or something. Gerald is actually what is called the Dark Spirit King. In the world that she got reincarnated, people get to have contracts with these spirits. And the thing about the Dark Spirit King is there's a bit of a taboo with him. Basically, way back in the past, there was a hero that was using the Dark Spirit powers, but eventually people turned on him, and he basically cursed them. And with tradition, people started to fear people who used these powers. Now, what is one of the things that you might be wondering can really prove that she had these powers? Well, the taboo part about it is anyone who can use these dark powers are born dark themselves. And I'm talking the dark kind of tannish skin and hair black like ravens. And she is born like that. And from that day on, her life does not get any better. See, while she's growing up, she's kind of shunned. Her mom has shut herself away because, oh my God, she gave birth to a person who would use darkness powers. Her father kind of is fearful of her and really doesn't talk to her like a father should. The only family member that actually treats her like the person that she is her brother. And he cares for her, and well, even though she doesn't really smile much, she, you know, kind of likes him. The name that she was given when she was born is Claudia. And even though she is quite shunned, she's a very smart girl. Now remember how in the beginning I told you that she was reading her favorite light novel? Well, it seems that she got reincarnated into this light novel, but she is not the heroine. See, Claudia in this light novel is the villainess that eventually the heroine will bicker with in school, and during the course of the history that they have, will eventually come to fight each other, and Claudia will be killed. Now she knows this, so she's like, I do not want to have this doom ending. So with the help of Gerald and the butler teaching her things, she decides to basically train herself to not have this ending. She becomes proper, she learns education and stuff, and she does what she can so she won't have to worry about dying in the future. Now, even though that she is a shunned child in this family, the family is still kind of that royal nobility kind of things. Not quite king and queen, but definitely of the higher standings. So when she's around the age of about 8, I believe it was, she gets invited to a party that is hosted by the king and queen of the royals that are there. At first, she doesn't want to go because she knows that she's got this whole taboo about her and people are going to be talking about her. But luckily, her father and brother kind of convinced her that she really needs to do this. Yes, she needs to present herself to society and hopefully get out there and proving that she's not as scared as she is. She decides to go to this party, and now while she's there, just like she suspected, people are just talking shit about her and not even trying to subtly do it. They are talking loud enough to where they can hear because, well, they're dicks. While at the party, she's actually introduced to the queen, who honestly doesn't really treat her any different, which is kind of good because the queen is actually one of these really nice royal kind of people that I like. Her sons, on the other hand, have 2 different personalities when they first meet. You have Levy, who is the older brother, who really doesn't care that she has dark skin and talks to her politely and kind of flirts with her as it is. And then you have Edgar. Edgar is an asshole when they first meet. He even goes about talking about her skin and her hair color in a very rude way. Whatever reason he had that day, he was just kind of being a dick and taking it out on her. Luckily for Claudia, Levy takes her away from the party so they could sit separately. There's this scene where these 2 girls, they are trying to convince the prince to go away with him and even talk down to her. And I love the prince on this because he basically tells these girls that in his favor, they have fallen farther than they can ever recover, which, go for it, my boy. I like Levy in the beginning, and even though Edgar's an asshole, he redeems himself later on. Later on after the party, Claudia, still trying to do her normal training and stuff like that. She has a habit of sneaking away to do training and visit towns and stuff like that. She sees some girl being assaulted and decides to help out this girl. Well, it turns out this girl was a character that she'll meet later on in school. Lady Emily is supposed to be the future friend of the heroine of this story. Well, after Claudia saves her, basically Emily and the 2 princes show up to have a tea party with Claudia. Edgar finally admits that he was being an ass that day and apologizes to her, gives her a gift. Emily asks, can I be friends? And even Prince Levy wants to be friends with her. The 3 become friends, and Claudia starts to smile a little more, which the smile, in my opinion, is probably the cutest thing about her. Her life starts seeming to get a little better. Little things here, little thing there. Until, unfortunately, there was an incident. See, her mother and father eventually had another kid after her, and one day while this kid was on the balcony, he almost falls off the balcony. Claudia goes to save him, which she does, but then he cries like a baby would, and then everyone's freaking out, thinking that she's attacking this baby, and even to the point where the mom chastised Claudia for saving him, which unfortunately kind of threw Claudia back into her non-smiling mode, and to the point where she kind of distanced herself from her family again. Her family is kind of an ass, and they're one of those royals I really don't like. Yes, she's tabooed, but they don't really give her a chance to prove that she's not what they think she's going to be. Now, fast forward 4 years. At the age of 12, the royal children of nobility go off to school. This is the point where Claudia knows the history of the book because this is where the main story happens. Luckily, this is sometime before the main heroine goes, so she goes to school, and of course her friends are there. Lady Emily and the 2 princes. And now there are some people who still give her shit because, oh my god, she's the taboo child. But after saving them, several of the students, some of them become friends. Now the thing about this manga that does take a little bit of a twist that I do like you don't have just one isekai character, you have two. See, that heroine eventually comes into the school life, and you find out that she is an isekai character as well. Now you might be wondering, how would you know this? Well, first of all, when she shows up, she's like, my name is Amelia, looking all pretty and proper and all that. But then when she eventually walks over to Claudia, looks down at her, and basically talks down to her saying, oh, you look just like I imagined from the story I read. It's from this point more that the story that Claudia and this girl knew about diverged, because Claudia is no longer shunned. She has a group of friends. And all the friends that are supposed to be friends with Miss Amelia, who is supposed to be the pretty, the proper, I'm going to be the hero. Because of her attitude in school, all the friends that she should have had are not her friends. They're now Claudia's friends. And things happened that I would love to spoil more, but the history that they knew is completely out the window. See, I like this manga. It was very unique because I kind of, when I read it, there's something about it that really comes to my mind, because it's basically an isekai where the main character has to deal with prejudice of their skin color. Now, I don't, in these videos, I don't really do the whole Black Lives Matter or LBG and all that. I'm okay with all that stuff, but I never really promote it. But something about this manga really caught me, because it felt like something that a lot of people in these situations could probably, kind of recognize themselves with. Having to grow over the struggle of being different because of how you appear, only to prove that you are nice, good, better than what people think. And I truly love that story. There is some magic in this, because, the Dark Spirit King, Gerald, he shows up pretty much almost every chapter. You have other Spirit Kings that are there. Her father, I think, can use one of light, I think it was. I know the main heroine of the story, or supposed to be main hero, she's supposed to be a user of the light magic, which is the complete opposite of Claudia. So there is a little bit of magic, but it's almost more of a school type isekai than it is really about the magic stuff, and I really kind of enjoyed that. Well, folks, what do you think about this type of isekai? Would this be one that you'd be willing to read more? Because I know a lot of people are getting tired of isekais with the whole transfer to other world, uber-powered magic, slay the dragon, be a hero, blah, blah, blah. This is more of an isekai, and now go to school, with sprinkles of magic. What do you think? Do you think you would enjoy that more, or do you think you'd rather stick with more of the typical isekais that are out there? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, folks, I'm the Noob. Thank you for joining me, and I hope y'all have a good evening. See ya.